Today I'm making homemade barbecue meatballs. I make the sauce and I make the meatballs. We like to serve this over rice, and this is one of my husband's favorite dinners. I'm going to put the recipe down in the comments. I'll put the single recipe, but I always at least double it. I'm using 2.2 pounds of ground beef, and I'm mixing that with breadcrumbs and milk. The recipe calls for a half a cup of breadcrumbs and a half a cup of milk, but I'm doubling that and using a cup of each. I'm going to mix that together with my hands, and I've already washed them, and then I'm going to roll that into 2 pans of meatballs. Sometimes I even make 4 pounds of meatballs because we really love to have leftovers of this to eat for lunch for a couple days. Now that I'm done making the meatballs, I'm going to pop them in the oven. I'm putting them at 350 degrees. In the video, I set the timer for 20 minutes, but I later went back and adjusted that to 30 minutes. Now I'm going to start working on the sauce while the meatballs cook. Again, I'm going to double the original recipe. It calls for 1.5 tablespoons of Worcestershire sauce, but I'm doubling that to 3 here. Next, I'm going to add the sugar. The recipe calls for 1 tablespoon of sugar, and I'm doubling that. Then I'm going to add the ketchup. I'm using a full cup of ketchup instead of a half. And then next I'll add vinegar. I'm going to use a half a cup of vinegar instead of a quarter cup. Then water. Water is also going to be a full cup instead of a half. Give that a good stir, and then I'm going to chop up a whole onion. I try to dice it up small, but I don't worry a whole lot about the pieces because they're going to cook down into the sauce. I'm going to add this to the rest of the sauce and mix it up real good and let it cook while the meatballs finish cooking. Okay, my meatballs are done now. I'm going to take those out, and these are going to get added to the sauce. I'm then going to let the sauce simmer with the meatballs for about 45 minutes until we're ready to eat dinner. Look, it's looking thicker now. I drained the grease off the meatballs and I'm adding them in here. We like to have a lot of sauce, so actually after adding all these meatballs, I went and added more of all my sauce ingredients so that way I have a triple amount of sauce. While this is simmering, I'm going to go ahead and cook up some regular white rice. You can use whatever rice you like. I hope you try this recipe out. It's one of my favorites.